Assalamu alaikum. Please welcome Friday Night Real Talk. This is our seventh edition. Uh, we're going to talk about today again community and policing. We have a very interesting guest here in our studio. Uh, I also want to tell you that this was brought to you by SMS Inc. SMS Inc. is the one community organizer who help our seniors. If you need any help with the seniors, please call SMS Inc. 347-778-525. আমি নজরুল হক আবারও আপনাদের আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি আমাদের ফ্রাইডে নাইট রিয়েল টক অনুষ্ঠানে। আপনারা জানেন আজকের সপ্তাহের গুরুত্বপূর্ণ বিষয় সহ আমাদের কমিউনিটির বিষয় এবং মূলধারার সাথে সম্পৃক্ত বিষয়গুলো নিয়ে আমরা আলোচনা করব। আজকে আমাদের সাথে আলোচনা করার জন্য আমাদের সাথে যুক্ত হয়েছেন, আমাদের আমন্ত্রণে স্টুডিওতে উপস্থিত আছেন আমাদের এই ব্রঞ্জের বেড়ে ওঠা সৈয়দ সুমন। হি গ্রো আপ ইন ব্রঞ্জ অ্যান্ড দেন হি গ্রাজুয়েটেড ফ্রম Georgia College, and he had a long career for 20 years with NYPD in multiple positions, like he was a detective, sergeant, and finally lieutenant, and he's retired. He's a like quick 1, 2, 3. He grew up and now he retired. So please welcome Sir Suman. You are the lieutenant position was last, and you just recently retired. Please tell our viewers actually what is this lieutenant rank means. How you can explain, because maybe a lot of us don't understand what is the level of rank. I mean,
sure. First of all, assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for having me here. It's an honor. So NYPD have rank basis. It's a paramilitary organization. It starts with rank of police officers. Right? Police officer and detectives are lateral positions. There are no examinations, and then it become through DCAS. There's a promotional exam. You become a sergeant, which are the frontline supervisors. We call them in the prison levels. In Bangladeshi Tanai boli amra. We call them patrol supervisors, and they have different positions with sergeants as well. And then another exam will lead you to lieutenant. Usually they're the platoon commanders in any New York City precincts, transit districts, or housing authority. And then after lieutenant is captains. And again, to be a captain, you have to take another promotional exam, and that's the last exam. After that is all.
So lieutenant is a kind of senior level rank.
Right, it's a superior ranking officer.
Very good. Darshak, I also like to tell you that Sir Suman is also a frontline fighter for pandemic. He just retired last month. That means all this pandemic time he was doing NYPD service, and we'd like to hear about his experience beginning. But before that, I'd like to welcome you. Please join us. You can join us with channel tt.tv. With the Roku TV, and also you can find us in facebook.com and youtube.com. Just type channel TT, and please ask us question, anything about community and related to NYPDs. Any question we'll try to answer, and Sir Suman will try to answer your question again. So I want to come back to you. I know this is pandemic time, and you are the front fighter. Is anything you can share with us, our viewers, that New York was really a kind of center of the pandemic, and is really a center of the war zone? And I'm sure you've been through so much. How you manage it, and what kind of any significant story you can share with us as your experience being in the front line?
Sure. 2020 has been an interesting year. But obviously the COVID is the highlights. It felt like 9/11 all over again. It felt like New York City is the ground zero. There are multiple factors for that. The way the New York City, the population, the way the city is structured, it was just the perfect storm for obviously it was a lot of confusion. At the very beginning, I don't think the government knew what the ways to address the situation. It was very, like I said, it was very confusion. It was chaotic. There were times we went to Elmhurst Hospital, which felt like a ground zero all over again. And it was tough. It was a huge challenge that the New Yorkers had to deal with. But again, New Yorkers, that's what we do.
Do you have an option as a person to not to go to work because of, like, a lot of us would never go to work? Do you have that option, but you choose to do so, or you had to work?
Well, you had to work. It's the first line, just like the doctors, EMS. It's a lot of grocery workers, firefighters. You have to work unless you're sick. If you're sick, why go to work and be contagious to other people?
You just talk about 9/11. Are you in the NYPD during the 9/11 or after?
I was before 9/11, during 9/11, post 9/11.
So that's my question. Sure. As a Muslim officer, what is your experience after 9/11? How you survive? I'm sure it was really tough.
Right.
Within the department.
Sure.
What is?
Sure. 9/11 was very challenging. Like I said, I joined the department in 1999. Not many Bangladeshis that I've met at that era. There was me, and I heard about a few other guys, but I never met them personally. Before 9/11, it was okay. We had the cops jokes. It's different. To understand cops lingo, you have to be a cop. That's just how it is. And right during 9/11, and that's when I realized that with a split seconds, you could be an outsider. I felt like an outsider. Mm-hmm. That was huge. I had to reevaluate myself. Is this really for me? But NYPD, this is one of the agency that's is so transparent. In terms of equal opportunity, racial discrimination. You cannot walk into a department facility, just any police station, right? Transit or housing. You cannot turn a corner of those buildings and not pass a wall that does not have a sign of on how to report discriminations. These are more, this is the advantage that the employees of New York City Police Department have that I can't really speak for any other agencies. But it was challenging, but I realized that to survive, I have to work twice as hard as the other races. Absolutely.
So is it some point that you feel like that, I cannot survive here anymore, some kind of pressure, and maybe I should quit? Did you ever came to your mind that I should be quitting because of the situation about Islamic, as a Muslim officer, I'm saying?
Yeah, it did come, but not to a point that I decided that I'm going to quit. That's not growing up in the Bronx and the family background that we have. We don't quit. We come from Bangladesh. We come to a city like New York, and we all survive. We don't quit. That's one thing we do not have in our culture. We do not quit.
See, good. But as a Muslim community, I also have a personal experience that we have a lot of hardship also after 9/11. As a community, we have to survive. We fight back, and of course we have to prove time to time we love America. We live here. We have a connection there. So I know because of this important era, you were one of the few officers there. So I want to talk about a little bit the previous boss. His name is Commissioner Kelly. We have some experience from a community level. After 9/11, maybe 2011-12, Kelly was visiting New York City's mosques, and we have one of the mosques in the Bronx, here called Pakistan Jama Mosque. We received a call from Plaza One.
One Police Plaza. That's the headquarters. Headquarters, right?
I remember Detective Nasser or somebody was there, and he said, "Commissioner, want to come to your mosque," and we're surprised. Do you have any idea why he wanted to visit us? Why he was visiting the mosque?
Well, Detective Nasser, who's also retired, is a very good individual. I give my salam to him. He did a lot for our Muslim community to bring close the gap between the community and the department. It was through the community's demand, and of course, police department. They wanted to be more transparent. They wanted to learn about. I'm sure I can't speak for Commissioner Kelly, but I have a feeling maybe that was the first masjid he ever been to, Prashad Sajami Masjid. He probably did. Don't quote me on that, but it was there to be more close with the community, to understand the community better, to raise awareness, to inform the community about the activities that NYPD and in terms of either fighting terrorism or promoting the see something, say something campaign.
Yeah. Commissioner Kelly was also famous for another thing. It's called stop and fix. We New York are very familiar with that thing. Do you think that policy was really effective for reduce the crime in the community, or this is really was just discrimination?
Well, stop, question, and frisk in NYPD we call it 250. This is a tool. This is it's nothing new. Right? Stop, question, frisk existed. It's in the law. Was it misused? Was it abused? Yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this problem that we had with the community, the misunderstanding with the community and the police. It's probably because of, some say it's a number game. But it is a tool that has been used over and over. It's nothing new. Stop, question, and frisk is when you can detain someone. One way to say for a crime, it has to be a felony or a penal or misdemeanor, that a crime that occurred is happening right now or is about to happen. Someone involved in this. So yeah, that tool is used to so that civil rights don't get violated.
So, yeah, but that was challenge and was change is not practicing right now, because there is a data also saying 85% African American was subject to this stop and fix.
Sure.
Mostly them, and it was not used properly.
Like I said, yes, data don't lie, the numbers don't lie. Yes, it was not used properly, in my opinion. I can say that it was abused. It became more of what is for the commanding officers to articulate what they're doing after a crime has occurred, or how they're combating their crime conditions in their respective prisons. But it is still being practiced. It is there, but it's much more scrutinized. You have the federal government overseeing this whole program.
Now, as a Muslim officer, as also Bangladeshi officer, how you want to advise, what do you want to tell to our community, for our youth, what direction they should go to get more involved and stay. Well, actually, let me rephrase myself. What I'm trying to say here, we have also a crisis in our community, like youth and the immigrant parents. And I'm sure you have some experience. It could be part of the family, domestic violence, and there was also domestic violence itself with the family.
Sure.
What experience you observe being as a part of the NYPD, and that you can share with the community, how you can avoid the future conflict?
Well, it's a very good question. I was a domestic violence officer for quite some time earlier in my career. These are like the reason I say it's a very good question, because the topics that you brought up are usually taboos in our community that we don't talk about. But they don't discriminate. This thing happens in our community, from child abuse to domestic husband-wife problems. These are occurring in our community. My advice to the parents are, just use common sense standard. If something doesn't seem right, maybe it's not right, and just have more awareness. Promote this anti safe horizons or anti domestic violence programs in our community more frequently. Youth, for a lot of our youths are getting into street level drugs. Marijuana, these are very common things right now, although more than likely it might be legalized in New York State. But still, it's not a good thing. Just because it may be legalized doesn't mean it's a good thing. And our kids are into it. They're into. You
talk about Bengali immigrants.
Bangladeshi immigrants, absolutely. They're into these drugs.
Is there something we, as a community level, we don't know, because some of them they go under the radar, but from.
Well, yeah, I do know that, and the parents of those kids, they also know it, but they do not seek help because it's an embarrassment.
Do you receive a lot of call from kids calling against parents?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
What is the situation, and what you can share with them, how the parents can avoid those things?
Well, the cultural conflicts. Our youths come here at an early age, and parents are trying to restrict them to hold certain culture, which is great. So cultural values, which is one of the most important things that we have. We should, but our youths come here. They're exposed to the way of life in New York City, and they want to adapt to that. And when we as parents try to limit them, it creates conflicts. So yes, and then through that conflicts, you have domestic violence arising. You have parents beating up their kids to a point that they don't know what's the limit, and then the students would call the cops or tell their teachers that they're being abused at home. And I've seen many parents being arrested for not knowing the limit of an abuse. When I'm talking about punishment-wise,
I know, but what makes this calm? I understand, and we got. Is it something that? What is that parents should do? What they should stop the call? I mean, is it school? School is the one informing them they can call against parents, or how that trigger?
By law, they have to. New York State, according to New York State law, they have to notify the authority. As a police officer, as a teacher, as a EMS worker, you're mandated to report any suspected child abuse. If you don't, it's a misdemeanor. You will get arrested, regardless if you're a police officer or a teacher. So yes, so when a student goes into school and has a bruise or physical apparent injuries, and the student may not tell the teacher, but may be discussing with other students. And information
let's move to another important. We want to talk about something else important, which is the bail reform that community has a lot of concern about it. But before that, I want to take a short break.
Sure.
And we'll stay tuned. Dear viewers, please stay with us. You're watching first Friday night Real Talk with the channeltt.com. Please stay with us, and you can also join us with the facebook.com and youtube.com channel. Just type channeltt.com. Thank you. We'll see you right after the break.
আপনি কি বয়স্ক পিতামাতা ও গুরুজনদের দৈনিক সেবা নিয়ে চিন্তিত? ভাববার কোনো কারণ নেই। সিনিয়র মাল্টি সার্ভিস ইনক আপনাকে দেবে বয়স্ক সেবার সকল সমাধান। আপনি কি বয়স্কদের সেবা করছেন? তাহলে আপনার সময়ের মূল্য হবে উপযুক্ত পারিশ্রমিক। SMS ইনক স্বল্প মূল্যে বাড়ির দৈনিক কাজকর্মে যে কোনো ধরনের বয়স্ক সেবা দিতে সদা প্রস্তুত। নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেটের বয়স্ক ও অক্ষম বাসিন্দাদের আস্থা SMS ইনক এর পূর্ণ ব্যবস্থা। বিস্তারিত জানতে কল করুন 347-778-5252।
Dear viewer, welcome back. Friday Night Real Talk. Shumon Sayed with us, and we're talking about a lot of things about this NYPD and his career. And before you go to break, we're asking him this famous the issue that we have in our community recently is called bail reform. We're hearing this word. First, what is the bail reform? Can you just clarify for our viewers what is it?
Well, it is for when an individual gets arrested. That in the past you have to post bail to be released. Once you get arrested, you just it doesn't mean that you're guilty, but there's a due process, right? One of the process is bail falls on that. If you don't post bail, you may be sent to, say, Rikers Island for your next hearings. Okay. Which can be traumatic for people that are or first time getting arrested, or it's just not a friendly environment to be in Rikers Island and that person may have not even committed the crime. So So that's what bail reform is. They're trying to limit it. They want to say everyone, there is no need to have bail. You get arrested because it was the prison population is so high. They wanna be fair to everyone. This is something that a lot of people don't know. It's actually President Trump in late 2018. He signed that.
But what does it say? You don't need a bail means so you get arrested, but you don't need to bail, they let you go.
Right. You don't need to post a bail. You let go. However, your date, you still have to appear at the court. So in the past, what happened? If you get arrested, you go to the precinct. You're in the detention holding cells. You're in the process. You're being fingerprinted, and you're waiting to be seen by the judge. Okay. So the judge can decide, say you don't have to post bail because you have a good criminal history, and I trust you for you to come back a month later to face your, right.
Well, then you can go by case. Why you have to have across the board? They remove the cash bail, and that allow the criminal to walk away, and they get arrested again. That was the blame, and then the crime went up. That's what the department claiming.
Right. Well, not a lot of people can post bail. It is a case by case. However, someone might have prior criminal history, committed a crime, but just because he's an individual arrested doesn't mean he's guilty. He or she is guilty. So that individual may not be able to post the bail to be released. So in the eyes of the communities, in the eyes of the activists, that it's not right for someone to spend weekend or the whole week or the whole month in Rikers Island to be seen by the judge. So yeah, department is claiming that the crime went up because these same alleged criminals gets arrested, gets released, and committing crime again.
Well, everyone thinking that this Blasio, since he came, that things maybe happen, and our New York City was so good at crime. I'm sure you see up and down. You've seen the Giuliani time, you've seen the Bloomberg time, you've seen the Dinking time, I believe,
sure.
A little bit. I've seen everything, and we see how come from the Dinking time to Bloomberg time, and now again we're going down. And obviously there was since the Lloyd, his name, the gentleman was killed by the police. George, the recent big incident happened.
Right. There's so many of them.
His name, Floyd.
Right. Floyd.
So since that incident, the crime went up so big, and they're also blaming the New York City crime is because one of them is the reason is that the bail reform.
Again, it's not.
And we have another NYPD who said the police cannot practice their policing, that bail reform reduce and limit their NYPD's practice. You agree with that?
Well, like I said, that act was signed by Donald Trump in 2018. It's called First Step Act. Yes, it's being heavily practice here in New York City, because most of the prison system, we feed the prison system. And that's how we reduce the crimes in New York, as you said, to a historical low, right? This year it started going up, and one of the blame is the bail reform. However, bail reform, you have, I'm just losing thought. People are committing crimes, right? So the shootings, yes, there's mass, the incident that took place with Floyd, right? There's mass protests, that the whole movement, right? And then you have peaceful protest. On top of that, during that, you have criminals taking advantage, lootings and causing other mischiefs. However, that has nothing to do with bail reform. Bail reform is just want to make sure that every citizen gets treated fairly.
Thank you. I missed one part. I know also being as a early Bangladeshi officer, you founded an organization called BAPA. What was the motive? Why you guys organize BAPA? What the BAPA does, and what is your experience with BAPA?
Well, BAPA, which stands for Bangladeshi American Police Association, we just, last 10 years, I would say, since 2005, there was a huge number of Bangladeshis who were joining the department. They started from traffic agents, right? And then the department implemented a thing that traffic agents, once they get their citizenship and once they pass the police promotional exam, they can actually transfer to the uniform. The traffic, we call them civilian member of the service. Department, when I say department, and police officer with guns are known as uniform member of the service. So we saw a huge wave of these members coming from traffic agents to the uniform section. And at that time, we felt that I, along with a few other individuals, felt that we need a platform for a brotherhood with Bangladeshi heritage to share our common values. So that was the sole purpose of BAPA.
For social communication,
right? To raise awareness to the community to how to prevent being a victim of a crime, or how to just sharing tips.
BAPA did any workshop to improve the awareness for communities or other issues, experience that you have as a PO? Do you guys do any of this work?
Yes. Well, we started with social activity. We started with the blood drive. I think we were the first organization that we're getting our communities involved to donate blood for to save lives. There was a success, and then we had a recruitment drive where we wanted the department to have more Bangladeshi women. That was one of our things, because we had a huge number of Bangladeshi police officers that are male, but we felt like our community also need females.
How many police officers?
I would say at this point right now, I don't have the recent stats. I would say over 10. We have one as a sergeant.
Yeah, we had the news.
Yeah, she's a very smart woman, and we hope her all the best. And we had the recruitment drive to attract our youths to join the department, and obviously the women too. And to raise awareness for our community, we did town hall meetings, which was a huge success. On that town hall meetings, we would talk about how to combat or how to prevent or not get involved in domestic violence issues, to keep our youth safe from street crimes and the danger of social media.
Now, you have in YPD experience for 20 years, and you are a young man. In these 20 years, did you ever visit Bangladesh? I mean, you come from Bangladesh. And how old are you when you come from Bangladesh?
Yes, I was in 7th grade when I came from Bangladesh.
So you don't have a whole lot of experience. Do you have any idea how Bangladeshi police work?
Yeah, ever since I came back, I went back to Bangladesh multiple times. So I had some interaction with Bangladeshi police, first-hand experience.
What level? Just in professional level, or just like?
Both, on a personal level, on just interaction, and obviously.
What do you think is the main fundamental difference between the way of policing in NYPD and where Bangladesh police work?
Well,
we have a lot of Bangladeshi viewers here, so I'm sure they will love to listen.
Sure. You ask any police officers around the world, right, why they want to be a police officer. I'm confident to say over 95% of them, the response would be, it's a noble job. I want to do good things. I want to make a difference. That is the reason why they become police officers. And then once they join the departments, whatever department they're in, they do their work. At that time, at times they get influenced. We call that slippery slope. To do noble things that they do something. To get the noble results, they circumvent some rules and regulations. To go back to what you said about Bangladeshi police and comparing to NYPD, I would say NYPD, what difference from Bangladesh is that the transparency. Transparency in NYPD is utmost the best, I would say, in any other agency. They're very transparent, and the training we get, we have the access of numerous training, which I doubt Bangladeshi Police Department.
They're lacking a training.
Lacking a training.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you get an offer from Bangladeshi Police Department, Dhaka Metropolitan Police, they want to hire you, you want to go work? Because of your career, maybe you get an offer.
Oh, that would be an honor. That would be an honor, but I don't think I'm an American citizen. I don't know if Bangladeshi to be work for Bangladeshi agency.
Well, you can be a consultant. You can be a trainer, whatever. But I was saying because we know we are here in America, but we love Bangladesh, and we want to see their progress also. So that will be like that's a very will be interesting if you saw. So now you were so young and you retired. What is your future plan?
Well,
wait, before you go there, why you retired? You've been praising NYPD. Mm-hmm. You've been praising being as a Muslim officer. You survived. You have so much. You're proud about it. Why you retired? Because you can stay. Why you retired? Frankly.
Well, timing was right. When I joined the department, I always had that vision of 20 years. I will do my 20 years and retire. I wanted to attain the rank of sergeant. That was the goal. And once I joined the department, I fell in love with investigations. I wanted to be a detective, and everything was destined. So I attained my detective rank, which in my opinion, one of the best rank. You could be a sergeant, lieutenant, or captain, but anywhere around the world you go and tell them you're an NYPD detective, it holds different weight. There's a reason why we call them gold shield. The greatest detective in the world, so they say. Yes, and then sergeant. That's what I wanted to do. And when I was a sergeant, I thought maybe a lieutenant. Then I realized that there's no end to it. I just want to spend time with family. That's the most important thing. And then I realized that time.
Anyway, we have a Facebook viewer. He have a direct question to you. I must share. Jahed Rahman. Thank you, Jahed Rahman. আমাদের question করার জন্য. So I'm going to read it. It is. He said. Thank you, Channel TT. Can you please tell us? I'm hoping directing to the guest why New York and NYPD surveillance in the marks. I don't know when and what is referring. Your call.
Zahid Rahman, right?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, Zahid Rahman. Thank you. It's a very good question. Surveillance in the mosque. These are something that NYPD Deputy Commissioner Miller and NYPD Intelligence Chief Thomas Kalari came out in public, and so you can always refer to them on what are the reasons. So from my understanding, it was a misunderstanding. I think the public, there was no survey, not that I know of, but. that's something that Commissioner Miller and Chief Kalari, they debriefed to the community. You could refer to that.
Thank you, and again, thank you, Jahid Hassan, for asking the question. So you were talking about your future plan, and thank you. I mean, is the timing? I understand. Do you recommend or request more Muslim officer to join NYPD?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's being a police officer is a noble job, and us Muslims, and I can speak for the organization that we created, but members of Bangladeshi American police officers, they're very hardworking people. They're out there working honestly, and I'm just proud of them. And yes, I would love to see more, especially more women, because our community need. Because there are times that, especially in domestic issues, they feel comfortable. Woman feels comfortable to speak directly to another woman, and that's where I would say having a Bangladeshi police officer would give them a comfort level.
Coming back again, domestic issue, because we didn't have chance. We're doing back and forth, but I must ask you that: who, with your experience, who you gonna blame more for this domestic violation? What side, and what advice you want to give now for our fellow community who came recently, and or just few years, or even maybe 10 years, and what kind of change they need to do within the family life to avoid that?
Well, when you come here, domestic violence does not only happen in one community. It happens, every community suffers from that. So that question can be given to, it can be asked to every community. Yes, there are ways. I think knowledge is one. You need to respect your partner. That's huge.
But when you talk about male, female, do you want to blame one side more than other for any reason? Is anybody aggressive, other victim? Or?
Well, it depends on case by cases. There are times that we've seen someone is actually defending from an aggressor, and while defending, the aggressor also got hurt. So it is hard to determine who is the aggressor at times.
So we heard that no matter what let's say husband and wife fight, and police show up. Does no matter what husband say, what he did, police don't want to even listen to him. They listen to her and lock the guy out, and that's always happened. Why? That should not be the case.
But that's not what happened. Is it true? I mean, this is the story we're getting from community level.
No, this is not what the department guidelines says.
No, but
guidelines is
reality.
The reality, yes. The reality is when you go to a job, when you go to an incident, and it is a domestic incident, and husband and wife, you do preliminary investigation. Just because the woman, the wife in this case, and just because you brought it up, states that husband did something, it has to be just did something is not enough. It has to commit for that individual to be arrested. A crime has to take place. He just can't get arrested because his wife is alleging something. That something has to be a crime. So if there is indication of a crime taking place, then police officer, have to take that action.
My reason was to ask you this question: as a police officer, don't you give always the benefit of doubt to the woman automatically? Is it that happen?
No, that would be gender discrimination.
I mean,
that is gender discrimination.
I mean, any last word for our community about this? Because we're having a lot of victims and they're crying silently. How to avoid it?
More awareness, more roundtable meetings with city halls, domestic violence agencies. It's not only NYPD. You have private organization, not private actually. You have city halls actually offer domestic violence officers to do a workshop. So they're readily available to help our community. And these round the table meetings. Roundtable meetings are needed more frequently, and our community leaders need to promote those events
to our community so that they can all participate. Because knowledge is, you have to know what is right and wrong, what's your limitation, what you can do and what you can't do. It's simple, just the way the perception that we have in Bangladesh, that you can treat any woman the way you want. It's not going to fly here.
Yes, of course, the awareness is the solution. I'd like to thank you very much for your participation. We have a very good, valuable discussion today. We're almost running out of time. So I do have a few other more questions, but I have a indication that I have to wrap it up. So thank you again, and
thank you. It's a pleasure.
Last word to our viewers, and I want to appreciate for your time. And we learn, our viewers learn a lot of things today, dear viewers. We're talking about a lot of issues from this retired Lieutenant Suman Soyad. He have so much experience. This difficult time, he have seen so much in 20 years in New York City, and we talk about from 9/11 to pandemic to our domestic violence, and it was very fruitful discussion, and we learned more information. I want to thank you everyone for watching channel TT.TV, and we will be back next Friday again for Friday Night Real Talk. And this show was brought to you by SMS. SMS Inc. is the good people in the community. They are helping our seniors. It's very important, you have seniors in the family. We need to take care of them. They're our respected one. They should be taken care because they're the loved one. They're more important. We cannot ignore them, and it's easy way to take care of them because New York City, we have a good program, and any benefit they can get, the home care to any other service. So please call this Fox SMS Inc. 347-778-5252. They will take care of everything for you in one stop. Thank you for watching. Until next week. Assalamu alaikum.
আপনি কি বয়স্ক পিতামাতা ও গুরুজনদের দৈনিক সেবা নিয়ে চিন্তিত? ভাববার কোনো কারণ নেই। সিনিয়র মাল্টি সার্ভিস ইনক আপনাকে দেবে বয়স্ক সেবার সকল সমাধান। আপনি কি বয়স্কদের সেবা করছেন? তাহলে আপনার সময়ের মূল্য হবে উপযুক্ত পারিশ্রমিক। SMS ইনক স্বল্প মূল্যে বাড়ির দৈনিক কাজকর্মে যে কোনো ধরনের বয়স্ক সেবা দিতে সদা প্রস্তুত। নিউ ইয়র্ক স্টেটের বয়স্ক ও অক্ষম বাসিন্দাদের আস্থা SMS ইনক এর পূর্ণ ব্যবস্থা। বিস্তারিত জানতে কল করুন 347-778-5252।
আসলে আমার প্রত্যাশা যে এই টেলিভিশনটি আমাদের কমিউনিটির জন্য কাজ করবে, দেশ এবং প্রবাসকে এক করে নেবে এবং বাঙালি যে বাঙালিত্ব সেটাকে তুলে ধরবে এবং বাংলাদেশ এবং বাংলাদেশের কমিউনিটি যারা আমরা আমেরিকায় বা প্রবাসে বসবাস করি তাদের সঙ্গে একটা মেলবন্ধন তৈরি করবে। অনেক শুভকামনা থাকলো চ্যানেল টিটিকে।
প্রথমেই চ্যানেল টিটিকে প্রীতি শুভেচ্ছা ও মোবারকবাদ জানাচ্ছি। নতুন আঙ্গিকে চ্যানেল টিটি ট্রান্সপোর্টেশন, ট্যুরিজম অ্যান্ড ট্রাফিকের উপরে কাজ করবে এবং এটা আমাদের বাংলাদেশিদের জন্য অনেক প্রত্যাশা ছিল, অনেক এই দাবি ছিল। আশা করছি চ্যানেল টিটি এই আশা পূরণ করবে। এই চ্যানেল টিটির যাত্রা শুভ হোক সেই প্রত্যাশা করে আমি ইয়ার বাংলার পক্ষ থেকে চ্যানেল টিটিকে মোবারকবাদ জানাচ্ছি। থ্যাংক ইউ।
চ্যানেল টিটি যে ধরনের কন্টেন্ট নিয়ে বাজারে আসতে চাচ্ছে এটা আমি জেনে খুবই আনন্দিত হয়েছি, এই কারণে যে এটা আমার কাছে মনে হয়েছে এটা টোটালি একটা ডিফারেন্ট টাইপের একটা ধারণা নিয়ে এসে আসতে চাচ্ছে। আমি এই চ্যানেলের সব ধরনের সাফল্য কামনা করি।
চ্যানেল টিটি একটা নতুন ধারণা নিয়ে আমাদের কাছে আসছে, অন্তত প্রতিশ্রুতিটা তাই। আমরা মনে করি যে বিকল্প নানান চিন্তায়, সৃষ্টিশীল চিন্তায় মানুষকে বিকল্প চিন্তায় উদ্বুদ্ধ করবে এবং নতুন নতুন ধারণা নিয়ে আমাদের কাছে প্রতিষ্ঠানটি জনপ্রিয় হয়ে উঠবে। শিবলি চৌধুরী কায়েস, আপনার এই উদ্যমকে আমি স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি।
অভিনন্দন, শুভেচ্ছা চ্যানেল টিটিকে। আর ব্যক্তিগতভাবে শিবলি চৌধুরী কায়েস একজন অত্যন্ত দক্ষ চৌকস একজন মানুষ, এবং তার নেতৃত্বে নতুন যে ফ্রন্টিয়ার হলো একটা নতুন চ্যানেল, নতুন ধারণা, সেটা আলোর মুখ দেখবে, এগিয়ে যাবে।
আমরা যারা এই দশকে নিউ ইয়র্কে এসেছি বাংলাদেশে সাংবাদিকতা করে, সেখানে শিবলি চৌধুরী কায়েস, তার সাথে আমার কাজ করার সুযোগ হয়েছে। একজন মেধাবী এবং পরিশ্রমী এবং কমিটেড একজন সাংবাদিক, তার হাত ধরে চ্যানেল টিটি যাত্রা শুরু করতে যাচ্ছে, এটা নিঃসন্দেহে আমাদের জন্য একটা গর্বের বিষয়। কারণ আমরা যারা ঢাকা থেকে এসেছি কমিউনিটি সাংবাদিকতাকে পরিবর্তনের জন্য চেষ্টা করছি, চ্যানেল টিটি নিশ্চয়ই সেটি দেখবেন। আরেকটা বিষয় আমার সবচেয়ে বেশি ভালো লেগেছে যে আমরা বাইলিঙ্গুয়াল যে টেলিভিশনগুলি নিউ ইয়র্কে আছে, সেই টেলিভিশনের মধ্যে যে চ্যানেল টিটি এটা নতুনত্ব আনার চেষ্টা করছে। আমরা সবসময় সংবাদের প্রতি গুরুত্ব দিচ্ছি, আমরা বাংলাদেশের রাজনীতির প্রতি গুরুত্ব দিচ্ছি, এখানকার কমিউনিটির প্রতি গুরুত্ব দিচ্ছি, কিন্তু চ্যানেল টিটি যে বিষয়গুলি যেমন ট্যুরিজম, ট্রাফিক, এ সমস্ত বিষয় নিয়ে যে কাজ করতে সম্পূর্ণ নতুনত্ব। আমি মনে করি এই নতুনত্বর যদি জয় জয়কার হয়, আমরা যারা ঢাকার থেকে এখানে এসে সাংবাদিকতা করছি, আমরা যারা পরিবর্তনের জন্য যারা কাজ করছি, তাদের জন্যই একটা সুখের খবর হবে বলে আমি মনে করি। আমি চ্যানেল টিটির ভবিষ্যৎ সুন্দর এবং মঙ্গল কামনা করছি।
চ্যানেল টিটি একটি নতুন চ্যানেল যেটি ইন্ট্রোডিউস হয়েছে নিউ ইয়র্কে। তো আমি যতটুকু জানি এটি ট্রাফিক এবং ট্রাভেল এই ইস্যুটি নিয়ে কাজ করবে, এবং এটি একটি টোটালি আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে একটি নতুন কনসেপ্ট, বিশেষ করে আমাদের কমিউনিটিতে। তো আমি আশা রাখি যে চ্যানেল টিটি তার যে নতুন কনসেপ্ট নিয়ে এগিয়ে এসেছে সেটি তারা বজায় রাখবে এবং তারা সামনে আরও এগিয়ে যাবে এবং জনপ্রিয়তা অর্জন করবে।
চ্যানেল টিটিকে শুভেচ্ছা, স্বাগতম। বিশেষ করে পবিত্র কোরআনের বাণী কুলসি রুফিল আর্দ, যে আল্লাহ পাক মানব জাতির উদ্দেশ্যে বলেছেন যে তোমরা পৃথিবীতে ভ্রমণ করো, আর ভ্রমণের জন্যই প্রয়োজন হচ্ছে যানবাহন, যেটি চ্যানেল টিটি যেই উদ্দেশ্য নিয়ে কাজ করছে, ট্রাফিক, ট্রান্সপোর্ট, ট্যুরিজম, এই টেকনোলজি। চ্যানেল টিটিকে শুভেচ্ছা ITV US এর পক্ষ থেকে।
চ্যানেল টিটি নামটা যেমন একটু অন্যরকম, তেমনি এর যে বৈশিষ্ট্য, যে ধারণা নিয়ে এটি করা হচ্ছে, সেটিও খুব নতুনত্ব আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে, এবং এই নতুনত্বের জায়গাটাতে এই চ্যানেল টিটি সাফল্য পাবে। আমি এই চ্যানেলের সর্বাঙ্গীন মঙ্গল কামনা করছি।